Welcome to Fueled by Coffee Podcast. My name is Matt. I am your host. Today we are here for a very interesting and I guess enlightening episode. I am here today with my neighbor JT, someone who I have known for probably like 15 years, almost 15 years.
About, yeah, man.
Been through a lot of ups and downs, you know, when you're kids and living on the same street and like you're just around each other all the time. It just kind of, I don't know, like you go through you fight and then you're friends and you fight and then you're friends. And it's like the one thing I think we always came back around to was bonding over professional wrestling. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about wrestling. We're going to talk about us as kids doing backyard wrestling.
Oh, boy.
Which I thought would make for a very fun and interesting episode. And we're just going to talk about all we remember from our childhoods living on this street in the Lehigh Valley. But as we always do, we're going to talk about what we're drinking, because on each episode we try and have a different coffee, and today I'm actually not drinking coffee. Normally it's a coffee. Today, my jam lately has been iced matcha lattes from Dunkin Donuts.
Oh, man.
And, it's something that just kind of happened by accident. I was at Dunkin' with John from Food Truck.
Oh, yeah.
And normally he gets an iced coffee with a blueberry shot in it. And the one day he was like, yeah, can I get an iced matcha latte? I was like, wait. Hold on. Like, iced matcha latte? What the fuck? And he was like, yeah, dude, it's really good. I was skeptical. Next time I went to Dunkin', I'm not a huge Dunkin' fan. I'm more of a Wawa guy. But... yeah. My girlfriend loves Dunkin', and we drove through, and she's like, if you want anything, I want to buy you coffee. I was like, all right, sweet. So I decided on a whim to get the iced matcha latte, and it's banging. It is really delicious. It's nice and refreshing. It's a healthier way of getting caffeine in your system. So I don't know. Today I'm drinking an iced matcha latte from Dunkin'. Highly recommend it. And JT, what did you snag from the Dunkin' drive-thru?
Today I'm drinking a strawberry culotta. And boy, what I tell you, man, like I'm not a big coffee fan myself, but I have a very less healthier alternative to caffeine. I pretty much drink like 2 Monsters a day type thing, you know? And the stuff that really gets your heart pumping, and but today we're drinking a strawberry culotta for these hot days that we're having, these hot summer days, 90 plus degree weather, man.
It's repulsive.
It's definitely repulsive.
I know. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting you to have like a Monster or something, but interesting change of pace. I'm happy that we're kind of in the same boat today. Kind of sticking in the same venture, I guess, of drink choice. And
oh yes, sir.
Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to get into the question of the season in a couple seconds. But today JT has decided to make a little playlist of some kind of chill, vibey music in the background. So if you hear some music, that's what you're hearing. So some a little different, some cool and interesting. But as I've been asking all season, who are your top 3 music artists that you've been listening to recently?
My top 3... Like, you want to do a top 3 or do you want to do a top 5?
We could do top 5, and it doesn't have to be in order. It could just be whoever's been heaviest in your rotation.
All right, I got you. So my top 5 artists definitely got to be like Suicide Boys, Mac Miller, Night Lavelle, Xavier Wolf, and probably, I would have to say probably like Tara Reid or something.
Gotcha.
And like, I've been listening to a lot of like Mac Miller. I've been getting back on that Mac Miller wave lately, man.
I noticed, yeah.
A lot of people slept on it, like slept on his music, and it's crazy how, people slept on him but then remember him and start hopping on bandwagons and stuff like that when an artist dies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, bro. Like, I was listening to Lil Peep, I was listening to XXXTentacion, I was listening to Mac Miller, I was listening to all those guys, and Juice WRLD,
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace to all those guys. And I've been on a more like darker wave with music, but like on top of that, I still listen to chill vibey music on top of that, like some light stuff,
Yeah. That's awesome, man. It's funny, we were just talking off air about, all of like the emo scene kids of our generation. We're in our early 20s, and the kids that were listening to like Attack and Asking Alexandria and Bring the New Horizon like 10 years ago, now they're listening to just like emo rap, like you said, Lil Peep, X, all that kind of stuff. Suicide Boys. That's like the big thing now with our generation, and I'm thankful that I have an open mind when it comes to music nowadays. I used to just strictly be like as heavy and fast as you could go, or just like punk rock. But now it's just like, it's really nice to have a variety in what you listen to, and like I really love X. I just started listening to Lil Uzi Vert.
Oh God!
Last week.
Why are you listening to Lil Uzi, bro?
When that album, so he just put out that album Eternal Awake, and everyone on my Instagram was raving about it. So I checked it out a couple days ago. I didn't get the whole thing in, but from what I heard, I was digging it. It was pretty cool. Not my everyday listen, but if I'm looking for something different, I'll definitely bump it for sure. But yeah, man, I totally feel you on all that lo-fi, chill, sad stuff. Dude, dark music, best way to go. Honestly, super cool. If you're looking for new music, check out the artists that JT has been listening to. You may find something you enjoy. And would you say those are all kind of in that like emo rap kind of like vibe?
Yeah, no, I definitely would say that these artists that I've been listening to are definitely in the more like darker like emo rap type scene.
Sweet.
And it's like if you want to listen to some heavy bass type stuff, like that's definitely the wave. That's definitely the way to go. And yeah, man, that's just the vibe of 2020 so far, man. Like 2020 is just like Jumanji, man. Like what were we on, like level 7 now?
Yeah. it's been going crazy.
Can you imagine like the fireworks for the 4th of July was just a celebration because we survived 2020 so far? You know what I mean? With all this crap that's going on.
It's been a wild year. Fortunate enough that our state has kind of like eased up on restrictions, so now I could really go, balls to the wall with the podcast. Definitely. But
there's a second wave coming.
I hope not.
They said there's a whole second wave of coronavirus coming.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, but let's hope not. Let's hope for the best.
Let's hope not, man. 2020 has been a crap year, let me tell you.
Moving forward.
Let's get it.
So we're going to jump right into the heart of this episode. As I said, we have been neighbors for about 15 years. JT moved in. His family moved in a couple doors down from me. And whenever we end up, we always come together, now that we're older, and we've got our own lives and we're, busy doing things with different people. We always end up every couple months sitting outside for a couple hours and just, I guess, reminiscing usually, or shooting the shit about our childhoods and like growing up together. And one thing that you always seem to like to bring up is the story of how you and I became friends. So if you want to, I'm gonna cut you loose and let you tell that story for everyone.
All right. Well, so years ago, back when I lived in Jersey and stuff, and I moved up here, we looked at a house that was across the street. And I met this dude then, is when he pretty much had a football helmet on. He put a football helmet on and ran through a sprinkler. And me as a kid, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And I was like, man. And then we didn't get the house, and I was like, damn, I wish I could have made a friend out of that. And then like I think a couple of weeks go by, I think, to like a month.
I feel like it was like a year went by.
Maybe it might have been a year.
Yeah.
And we looked at another house on the block, and a part of me was like, yo, I remember this neighborhood, and I was like, and then I saw him outside the one time. I was like, I think we met each other before. I'm like, and then I brought up the fact is he ran through the sprinkler and everything like that, and he remembered it, and he was like, oh yeah, dude. And then years go by and stuff, and it's just crazy how we've known each other for so long.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how we're, still here. We're still on this block, and now we're grown compared to, when we were kids and stuff, and we're being stupid and stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, when you're around each other so much, like, people like have friends in school that they have come over when they're kids, but then usually like if you have a neighbor on the street, that's usually who you spend your time with. And so like it was always like in the summer, like going over to each other's houses, or riding bikes, or just doing whatever. And then like when you're around someone so much, like every day or every other day, you start to kind of get sick of each other, and you have little spats, and like that's just the nature of being kids, especially boys. Like we're just like, we destroy shit all the time.
We would go on our little little hiatus.
Yeah.
And like be like, yeah, I hate you too, and go fuck yourself. And
then like it was like it was really interesting. Like we got to high school and like we were cool for a year, and then I remember there was like this weird beef that just kind of like started for no reason, and then like years go by, and I remember like 4th of July was coming up, and JT's dad would always get just loads of fireworks and usually put on a show for the street. And I remember I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna see if his dad's doing anything for 4th of July. So I sent him a message, and I was, we just started talking, and we were like, why were we beefing? Like, why did like? And then we just basically agreed, like, life is so short, like, let's just be men. And
life's too short to hold grudges, man.
Yeah, and
honestly.
Especially for like no reason, like we were like, why were we not cool with each other? Like, what's wrong with us?
I never understood, man. Like towards the end of high school, like it was just like me, myself, and I. That's how it felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and after, like, I shit you not, like after graduation and stuff, I was like the first person to walk off that stage, and like I was out the building, bro. Everyone was like hugging each other's families. Everybody was sitting there like, oh, congratulations, and this, that, and third. And dude, I was like, my goal was like, I didn't even go to my family, bro. Like I didn't run, but like,
yeah,
I moved my way around people and stuff, and I got out that door, and like my parents like called me, and they're like, yo, where are you? I'm like, I'm already in my car, bro. I'm ready to go, bro. Like, I'm done with this place, man. I hated that high school, man.
Yeah,
that high school, like, I like tech more. I was more of a tech person than actual high school. Like, tech I consider my home school, because like that's what, like, it was like a getaway, man. Everyone was so different. Everyone was from different schools and stuff like that. So it was like you got so many different personalities and so many different people, and it was great, man. It felt like more like home than like, than our school, our home school.
Right on. Yeah, our home school was, it was basically you either had money or you were a jock, or you had both of those things, or you were a prep. And if you didn't have any of those things, you were basically a nobody, and no one gave a shit about you.
Oh, pretty much.
And yeah, and both of us I would consider to be none of those things. We were just kind of like, I don't know, we got more into music and, being into stuff like wrestling, and just, you were kind of looked at as a reject because of the things that we enjoyed.
Oh yeah, pretty much, man. That's literally how it felt.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice now that, we're not there, and once you're in the real world, none of that shit matters. If people are going to judge you for your interests when you're in the real world, it's like, don't you have something better to do with your life? Like, go fuck yourself, It's just, why waste your time judging someone based on their interests and what they like to do in their life? If you like to do something that makes you happy and it's not harming anyone, who really cares? There's no, But anyways, I digress. Roping back in. So the one thing, as I said, the constant that has always been there throughout our whole, if you want to call it friendship, relationship, alliance, whatever you want to call it, has been professional wrestling. And I remember the way I got into wrestling was through JT. Once him and his family moved in, it was kind of set in motion a short amount of time before they moved in. I was at my grandparents' house one Friday night, flipping through the channels, and my pop scrolls past wrestling. It was Friday Night SmackDown was on, and me at the time, I was into boxing. I was really into like the Rocky movies. I was like, oh, put wrestling on,
Yeah, man.
And what was on was this segment of the Boogeyman, who was this wrestler that, nowadays you look back and you're like, he was an underappreciated talent and he looked cool as shit. But as a 7-8-year-old, you're like, that is fucking terrifying. He's like this big guy with face paint and worms coming out of his mouth. And
yeah, man, pretty much.
What he scrolled past, it was this segment of the Boogeyman stealing Booker T's wife and running away with her through the arena, and I was absolutely terrified. But the next day, my grandfather, he worked at Blockbuster, RIP Blockbuster. He would rent me video games for free, and I was like, oh, see if they have a wrestling game. So he rented me a wrestling game, and I didn't know how to win matches. I would just go on and literally beat the dog shit out of whoever I picked to wrestle against.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know you had to pin people. I didn't know, like I would just like beat them with weapons. They'd be bleeding all over the place, and they'd be like, okay, and I'd quit the match. Like, I didn't know how that shit worked. So that was my experience with wrestling. Then maybe like a year goes by, or a couple, 6 months go by, JT's family moves in, and it was one of those times, like, he comes outside. It's like the end of the summer, and he comes outside and he's like, hey, like, do you like professional wrestling? Do you like wrestling? And I was like, it's funny, like, I played a video game once, but I've never really gotten into it. And you were like, well, who's your favorite wrestler? And I was like, I don't know. I always just picked this guy who wore a mask and pants, and it was gold. Like, he had gold pants. And you were like, oh, it's Rey Mysterio. And I was like, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. When you're a little kid, you pick the guy that looks like a superhero,
Oh, yeah, dude. And Rey Mysterio, like, he was the coolest looking dude, man. He wore a mask and nobody else wore a mask. And he was the smallest dude in the ring, too. So you're like, yo, this dude's
just, like, whipping around.
He's fast as hell. And then you're like, whoa, dude, this dude is sick.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, man. Like, those are the times.
Yeah, so JT asked me about, wrestling, and, we eventually came through. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess Rey Mysterio is my favorite wrestler. And then our families, what they would do usually, like, on a Friday night, because he has a sister who's around my sister's age, my younger sister, and then we were, like, a year apart. What we would do is we'd go over to each other's houses for pizza on a Friday night, and first Friday night, it was, like, maybe the first or second week of the school year, we came over to his place, and he and I were upstairs, and he puts Friday Night SmackDown on. And all I remember from that night is Rey Mysterio was in a tag team match with Matt Hardy. I don't remember who they were wrestling against, but afterwards, there's this wrestler, pretty famously known, I guess, throughout Mexico, and I mean, even in the United States. His name was Chavo Guerrero. He came out, and he was just being a little douchebag, and he was like, I challenge you to an I Quit match, and we were like, oh shit. And like, it's funny, like, the whole time wrestling was on, we're like, I think you had like a giant stuffed animal that we were like doing wrestling moves on, like on your bed. We were just like beating the shit out of this thing. And so I remember the next Friday, for whatever reason, we didn't have a pizza night, or like I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling, because my mom, the way she knew wrestling was when my older cousins watched it. It was during the Attitude Era. And for those listening who aren't wrestling fans, the Attitude Era was a point in time where wrestling was very, very raunchy.
Yeah, you could definitely say raunchy. That's definitely a good way to put it.
Like, it was like alcohol, half-naked women, lots of curse words, quote, just blood, vulgar, just, it was a very raunchy time for wrestling, and it was borderline TVMA. Like, that's how bad it could get sometimes. So that's what my mom thought wrestling was, and by 2006 it had definitely mellowed out a lot.
Oh yeah.
So like, we'd come over here on a Friday and like just watch wrestling in your room, and no one, like, my parents didn't know. So like, that was always cool. But I remember, for whatever reason, we didn't get to see the I Quit match the following week. Like, you either went to Jersey or you guys came over to my house. I don't remember. But we basically, on the bus that Monday, the next week at school, we were trying to figure out if anyone else had seen it. We're like, do you watch wrestling? And for whatever reason, the kid in front of us was like, I don't know if you remember this, but it always stuck out to me. And he was like, yeah, I saw it. And we were like, oh, who won? He said, oh, I think Rey Mysterio won. And we were like, all right, cool, like, tight. So the following week, sorry, we're here. We had to pause for a second, and JT's here asking me all these mind-blowing questions, like, why do we have hands? But the following week, I remember we came back over to JT's family's house, and we turned wrestling on, and they're like, here's what happened last week. And what we see is Rey Mysterio dangling upside down by his legs on like a lighting rafter, and Chavo Guerrero's beating the shit out of his knee with a chair. And we were like, I'm sitting here with my mouth just gaped open, waiting to receive a penis. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're just like totally in shock. Like, first of all, my thought was, this motherfucker on the school bus lied to us. Second of all, it was just like,
didn't he say some shit like, didn't he lie about like Chavo Guerrero like losing or some shit?
Yeah,
like that?
He was like, oh, I think Rey Mysterio won. Yeah, so like, we're like, oh, cool.
Or like, word, Rey Mysterio won, and we liked Rey Mysterio more than than Chavo Guerrero, and we knew who like the douchebags were and who were like the good people.
Exactly, yeah.
And I remember us watching it, and then us telling that kid the next day that he's a lying sack of shit, pretty much. Like,
we were like, dude, why did you lie to us?
Yeah. You and me on that bus, dude. We were like a tag team, bro. We fucked with everybody.
Yeah, interesting times. So like from there, it basically just kind of blossomed into like I fell in love with pro wrestling, and that was just like our bonding point. That's like what we always came back around to, no matter what was going on. And you know, being kids with two big imaginations, we ended up doing what they tell you not to do, and we started wrestling in the backyard.
They said don't try this at home, but we were like, fuck you. we didn't listen to what they wanted to say. They were like, yeah, these are like professionals and stuff like that.
And we were like, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do all that. Yeah.
Even though we like half-assed it and it probably looked awful, we still did it anyways. Because it was, you know, like when you're kids, like I said, that's what you do. You go outside. I feel like our generation was like the last generation that really was like, you know, go outside. You know, your parents would say, go outside, it's summertime, like go out and play, go out and do stuff. And like we'd be outside from like the whole afternoon, like maybe not when it was like 90 degrees out, but once the sun started going down, we'd be like out in the yard, like wrestling, riding bikes.
Oh, we went out, man. When our parents told us to go out, we went out, man.
And we were out till the sun went down, till they told us to come back in, till they were like, all right, it's time to come in, like, you know.
Oh yeah.
But I remember we started where we would just like, we basically had our favorite wrestlers. I think yours was John Cena at the time. Mine was...
Might have been.
This was like pre-Stone Cold. I think this was like before we knew who that was.
I think during those times, man, there was definitely a lot of different favorites, man. Mine was definitely Jeff Hardy. Had to been, without a doubt, man. Like Jeff Hardy was one of the best, one of the best wrestlers, man. And he used to jump off all the high tiers and stuff like that. You're like, as a kid, you're like, holy crap, man! Like this is insane, dude. Like, and there were so many other wrestlers, man, like John Cena, back when, you know, John Cena was cool, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you know, not when he was just like a sellout and type stuff, you know? I'm not saying he's a sellout, but like, you know, this man's just laughing to the bank, man. He could show up, he has to show up to one pay-per-view nowadays, and he'll make a big-ass check out of it because that's John Cena.
Yeah, and
it's insane, man.
Yeah, and that was like peak John Cena, too. I got into wrestling end of 2006, and that was like peak John Cena. I would say it was like 2005 until like maybe 2008, 2009. That was like when we were like, yeah, John Cena's the shit. And then when he started wearing all like the Fruity Pebble t-shirts, and that's when it was like everyone started hating on him because he just won all the time. And yes, we know wrestling is fake, by the way. Thank you for, you know, if there's any smarky assholes out there, we know it's just an act, but like they'd basically put him out there and just have him win all these matches. He could be in the ring bleeding out, dead, bomb strapped.
And then all of a sudden he gets a second win of energy, and then he ends up winning the match. Like, that's how it was. And then like it was, and then I remember you and me making fun of it because like majority of the time of his fights he'd be on the ground. Like it
was like, a laying down match.
Like dude, it'd just be him laying on the mat majority of the match and stuff like that. Then he'll do like a couple slams, a couple shoulder blocks, the you know, 5-knuckle shuffle, all that fun stuff. And then you'd be like, all right, word, whatever. He's about to win it, and you and me would know when he's starting to win, when he gets that second win of energy, when he starts doing the shoulder block tackle things, and you're like, oh, here it comes. Yeah, it's over. You know, and like us as kids were like, all right, we're just gonna go bullshit until the next match. You know, whatever we were watching at the time.
Yeah, and basically what we would do is like we would put wrestling on if we were in. So JT had they had a finished basement at his house, and there's a TV downstairs and a Wii, and like we would use the Wii for like wrestling theme songs. We'd put in the wrestling game and use the theme songs on there, and we'd put on like little wrestling matches, like with our imaginations, you know, like we're in front of 10,000 people wrestling, and really it's just two of us in a basement, you know, two little kids half-ass wrestling each other in a basement, you know. But like, you know, I'd always be Rey Mysterio. He'd always be either, you know, like Jeff Hardy or John Cena or Stone Cold Steve Austin or whoever, you know. And that's just what we did as kids. And like that eventually progressed. At some point in like the first couple years of you living on the street, we started coming up with our own characters then. And that's when it started to get interesting. That's what, like we had like a whole federation. And this is the main portion of the podcast that we're here to talk about, is when we had like, I don't know if you want to call it backyard, I don't know if you call it side yard, because we wrestled everywhere. Basement, backyard, side yard.
Oh, dude. And then like as soon as the trampolines came into play, bro, it just made everything so much better. Like, you remember mine was like square.
Yeah,
that's so like we used that one as like the main ring, bro, because like dude, if we still had that to this day, and like how old we are now, bro, I would have rigged it into a ring, bro. I would have got ropes. I would have got like turnbuckles and everything, bro.
That would have been the most redneck shit, but I would have been so down for it. Like, even right now, I'd be like, let's do it right now. Let's get out there.
Let's go break our necks real quick, do what we did as kids, and then we get seriously injured because like our bodies are not like what they used to be.
And it's funny, like, I'm going to get to the trampoline then. That'll be the last point on the list. But we used to just, our parents, I think, hated that we wrestled. I remember we used to wait for your dad to go to work. JT's dad worked overnights on Fridays and Saturdays, and we would wait for him to leave in the afternoon at like 4 or 5 o'clock. As soon as his truck was off the street, we were in the yard wrestling. We got the iHome out. We were playing theme songs. And the thing is like, so we came up, I made a list, okay, of like as many characters as I could remember. We had like a whole roster of characters, and it was just it was the two of us. It was literally just the two of us, and we would play all these characters and just like have these matches. And like some of them I remember being really good, like really fun, and then I'm sure looking back, people were probably like, "What is wrong with them? Are they okay?" Like.
People like driving down the street seeing two kids like putting each other in like full Nelsons and like submissions on the ground and stuff like that, making it look like we're choking each other out pretty much. And then, like people are driving by, they're going like parents and stuff, and they're looking at us like going, "What the hell is what?" Okay,
yeah,
two kids just killing each other,
rolling around in the grass, and overselling. JT would always use the Stone Cold Stunner, which is like a famous finishing move in professional wrestling. You can go look it up. And I'd be like doing backflips out of it, and rolling around, and oh my god, we'd be hitting each other with like, he had like a padded steel chair. I remember we'd bring out sometimes, like if literally no one was home, we could get away with it.
Oh, we were bringing props out there, bro. Oh, yeah. We were bringing so many props, like wiffle ball bats, and
we'd use boxes as like tables, because in wrestling, like they'll put each other through a table. It's looking at it, if you're not a wrestling fan, you're probably like, well, the table's breaking his fall. But like as a kid or as a wrestling fan, when the table comes out, you mark the fuck out. You're like, yeah, get the table.
Oh yeah, dude.
So we'd bring out like these giant cardboard boxes, and we'd be like slamming each other into them and stuff, and like that was the shit.
That definitely was the shit.
But the one person I do remember, before we get into our list of characters in our federation, do you remember we had a neighbor who lived on the street behind us? JT's laughing his ass off already. And his name was Danny.
Oh god.
He was this little skinny twig. And like when we would wrestle, JT and I, this poor kid, we would team up on him. We would double team him. And we would brutalize this kid.
I mean, there's no sugarcoating anything. Like, this kid got beat the hell up. Like, we were brutal to this kid. I remember the one time Matt over here, he freaking,
oh, here we go.
He did the Triple H finisher, the pedigree, and usually when you see the pedigree and you watch wrestling, you see that they like put their hands to like break their fall. Mm-hmm. This kid just literally whole face ate platform. just literally his whole face got drilled into the ground, and dude, we made this kid cry, run home, whatever. He would come back all angry and stuff, or like whatever.
There's the one time I remember, it was the fall. So like the ground was frozen. It was like all hard and dry. And I remember I choke slammed him with one hand. This kid was so skinny. I was always like a huskier kid, a little bit stronger. And this kid, I remember, like a choke slam is like where you grab someone around the throat, and usually like they help you, they jump. But because this kid was so light, I grabbed him and I lifted him up with one hand, all on my own, and slammed him down in the middle of the yard. And I just remember we were like, holy shit, did I just do that? Like, wow. And then there was the other time we had like a big snowstorm, and the way our street is, it's a cul-de-sac, and they would plow piles of snow into the cul-de-sac. We're running up the one snow hill, and I go to like, it was called a sweet chin music, which is basically, JT's laughing his ass off. So there's a wrestler named Shawn Michaels, and every wrestler uses this move now. It's it's called a super kick, and it's basically just like you kick the guy in the jaw. And like we would do stuff like this to each other, be like, all right, I'm gonna super kick, but like we wouldn't actually kick each other. It'd be like you'd be like a foot away from the guy's head, and they'd sell it like, oh, he kicked me. I didn't realize how close Danny was behind me, and I accidentally kicked him on the top of his head.
He was climbing up the hill, and you slipped. You slipped too because it was so slippery.
Right.
That you slipped. And you kicked him right in the top of the dome while he was crawling up. He slid right back down, holding his head.
And then he went running home going, "You kicked my concussion spot." And I'm like, what? I'm like, and we're like, back then we were like, huh? And now, like, being an adult, I'm like, there's no such thing as a concussion spot.
You hit me in my concussion spot. My concussion spot hurts.
So he ran home to his dad, and I remember we were just like, well, this is awkward. So we both went inside then. About half an hour later, him and his dad show up at both of our doorsteps, and his dad's like, "You're picking on my son. You're not, no more wrestling. You're not allowed to wrestle anymore." And even my dad was like, "Bruh, like, you're not gonna tell my son what to do. If your son's, being all sad boy, he doesn't have to come on the street, like." Normally my dad's got to stick up his ass when it comes to stuff like that, but like, this was like, no, you're not going to tell my kid what to do. Like, they're boys being boys. That's what they do, is they wrestle around, and people get hurt, but like, is your kid dead? No. Is he injured? No, he's fine. Like, he was okay.
I think you choked, like, going back to the choke slam.
Oh, here we go.
I think you choke slammed him the one time where, you remember when my side yard was completely iced?
Yeah, that was something I wanted to bring up.
It was icy, like a full layer of ice on my side yard.
We had a snowstorm the one year, and it was like probably a good 6 inches of snow, but then we got ice on top of it, and there's probably like a good 2 inches of ice on top of it. So thick that us as, like 90, 100-pound kids
sliding.
We were walking around on it and it wasn't breaking. Even your dad, JT's dad was like a large man back then.
Mm-hmm.
He could walk on the ice and it would not break. No cracks. So it was literally like an ice skating rink in your yard.
Oh yeah. And then we're like, us as kids, we're like, yep, well,
time to wrestle
on this bad boy. And I remember that's when you choke slammed Danny. And I remember when he went through the ice, how hard you slammed him. He went through the ice and he bashed the back of his head off the ice, and he freaking sat there freaking like the wind knocked out of him type shit. I remember that clear as day, bro. And
I kind of feel bad about it now, but it's also kind of funny.
That kid lives like so far away now, and he's like apparently he's part of the military now or something. So like, good,
He's doing good for himself.
He's doing good for himself, apparently.
That's good.
We talked a couple times, but I don't really talk to the kid that much anymore.
Yeah.
And stuff. There's a lot of people in this town that I used to talk to, but it's like, they're all gone, man. They all left. They all moved out. They all like went separate ways and living their lives and stuff. And it is what it is, man. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, so those were a couple of the couple of memories. There was Danny, and then there was the whole ice storm thing, which that was so much fun. Was wrestling on that sheet of ice. I remember the one time I went to do a spear, which in wrestling terminology is basically just a tackle.
I think you speared me.
I tried to spear JT, and because it was so slippery, normally like to sell it, you just kind of fall on your back, do a bump on your back.
I think you hit me in my legs, and I did a front flip.
Yeah, he like slipped and did a front flip over me. I always remember that. That was like, we were like, holy shit, that was awesome. Like,
yeah, because I think I went up. I think I went up, and you slid down, and pretty much you hit my legs, and I completely did like a front flip. I completely did a front flip, landed straight on my back, right on the ice.
It was totally wild. We would have some wild times, but then, as time went on, we started coming up with our own characters, and that's when. So we were real original. We called it the WWEK, which stood for World Wrestling Entertainment Kids. Literally the most unoriginal kid title you could come up with, but man, we had some wild imaginations. We had so much fun with that, and I look back on those times and I think, man, like those were some of the greatest parts of my childhood. I think was like doing these wrestling matches and doing these wrestling shows together, and
we would literally schedule the shows. Like we would be like, yo, after school this day we're doing Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
And then
we had all the belts.
We had all the belts, and then we would be like, oh, this is like pay-per-views, like Summerpalooza, WrestlePalooza, freaking, and all the ones like No Mercy and all that stuff. We had so many different names for all of them.
Yeah.
And dude, It just brings back so many childhood memories. It's great, man.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, we had all these characters, and like I said earlier, we would play all the characters ourselves. We'd be like, all right, you're this guy, and I'm this guy, and, you know, this is who's going to win the match. And then, like, you know, like, we would just kind of be like, all right, I'm going to do this move, or I'm going to do this move. Like, we kind of, as we did it more, we kind of built a chemistry, so we just knew what the other person was going to do. We knew how to structure a match. And all the characters we came up with kind of corresponded with a wrestler in real life. You know, like, we would use, like, their moves or, like, their taunts or their entrance music, you know. So it was kind of like we were just stealing their person but putting a different name on it. So I'm just gonna run down. We'll just elaborate. So mine was Godfather, which is awful because there was apparently a wrestler named the Godfather for the WWE. I didn't know that as a kid. I was just like, oh, Godfather, that's a cool name. I was always kind of like, I could never really decide who I wanted my character to be like. It bounced between, like, Edge and Randy Orton and Triple H.
The Rock.
I was like The Rock
Chris
at one
Jericho.
point. Yeah, Chris Jericho. Like, it was basically whoever I was into at the time, like, either playing on the video game or watching on, you know, like, I had these old VHS tapes from, like, old wrestling.
Dude, you got the hookups as a kid, man.
Yeah, my one cousin gave me his whole collection of, like, VHS and action figures.
Dude, all the old action figures. Dude, that shit. I remember that moment when you, like, yo, you need to come over right now. I got something to show you. And me as a kid, I was like, all right, I'll bring my stuff over and stuff like that. Like, all right. And then when I came over, dude, and I saw the big old freaking bin of nothing but old school WWE stuff. Like, we're talking, like, WWF, WCW, like, all the old school stuff and the action figures, the tapes, all that stuff. And, dude, I remember you and me as kids just, like, literally just chilling all day watching those tapes and do it. And, oh, dude, that was a good time, man.
Yeah. And it was basically like I would just base my character on whoever I was into at the time, regardless of, like, if it was a VHS I saw it on, if it was an action figure, if it was whatever. But I remember eventually settling on, like, towards the end, you know, like, maybe the last year we were doing the wrestling stuff, I was just kind of like a mix between, like, CM Punk and Edge. CM Punk's, like, one of my favorite. I think he's probably my favorite wrestler of all time. So it's just kind of a hybrid of those guys, you know, because their moves, like, you could do them safely in a yard or on a trampoline, and, you know, there's no, like, huge risk to doing them.
Yeah, but, like, when is he actually gonna return to WWE? When is he gonna actually be like, you know what, I'm done with the WWE backstage stuff. You know, let me come out there and whoop some ass. Like, I feel like he's waiting until, like, you know, this whole pandemic's over when they can actually have fans again.
Maybe.
And also he said when the money's right, pretty much, because, like, pretty much he's on a WWE show, but it's through Fox. You got that Fox deal and stuff. So it's like he's working through Fox, but on a WWE program. And he said when the money's right and when Vince wants to, you know, show, you know, be like, yeah, okay, fine, sure, like, give him the green light, and then, you know, he'll come back out. But I feel like it's when the fans are going to be back, you know, when everything's open again, when everything, you know, goes back to normal, you know, God knows when that's going to be, honestly. And I think that's when he's going to make his actual return. But
well, and I heard that AEW had, so AEW, so everyone I'm sure knows what WWE is. Huge wrestling organization. It's, you know, you may have been into it as a kid, or if your kid may have been into it as a kid. There's this new promotion that just came out last year called AEW, which is what I've been watching lately because the product is solid, the wrestlers are solid, it's something new, it's not as, you know, predictable and PG as the WWE. It's not as safe, I'll say that. It's more akin to, like, the Attitude Era that I was describing. You know, they're not afraid to take risks and do things that might be considered a little raunchy. But yeah, I heard AEW had extended an offer to CM Punk, and apparently, like, they offered him a certain amount of money, and he, like, he asked for an amount, like, way above what they were willing to give him. Like, he asked for buttloads of money, and they were just like, no, we can't do that. Like, you know, he's past his prime. He's in his 40s now. Like, even if he does come back, he's not going to be CM Punk from 10 years ago, 15 years ago. He's going to be CM Punk, like, the 40-some-year-old guy who's just doing it for a paycheck, you know?
Oh, yeah, dude. I think that's gonna be like his final match. I think
for sure.
I think he wants like one more WrestleMania main event or something.
That's what he wanted. That's why he left WWE to begin with, because he wanted to be the main event. He wanted to be in the last match, and they were like, "Oh, well, you are in one of the main events." He's like, "No, I want to be like the last match that goes on," and they wouldn't give it to him, so he just walked out. But yeah.
I remember when he made his debut in the ECW.
Oh, dude, I love
and
him.
everyone chanting his name like when he first came out, man. Like that was, and he came out the freaking kill switch,
dude.
Oh,
so
man.
good. So like when I was allowed to start wrestling, or allowed to start watching wrestling, excuse me, I started by watching SmackDown. That was it.
Oh yeah.
And then maybe 6 months later, I was allowed to watch Raw and ECW, and that was around the time CM Punk was feuding with like the New Breed and John Morrison. That summer was like, oh, so good. Him and John Morrison put on some classic matches. So that's what I remember. That's when I really got into CM Punk. But yeah, he'll always be, I think, my favorite wrestler, and that's kind of why I modeled my character after him.
Oh yeah.
Then there was your character. You wanna talk about your character a little bit? You kind of had 3 characters, but your main character.
I pretty much came up with a lot of different characters.
You came up with most of them.
And like there was like I had like the 3 faces, pretty much. I guess you want to consider that. So pretty much like my main character was Slayer,
and he was based off of
Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he was the tough SOB. He was the I'm the shit type, And I remember, and then there was J-Man.
Yep.
Which J-Man was pretty much like John Cena.
Yep.
And yeah, he was like the bee's knees too. But he wasn't like John Cena, like the you can't see me shit. He was the like the basic thugonomics John Cena.
Yeah.
He was the thug. He was the whatever. and then there was one who was American Bad Boy.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much like the American Badass Undertaker.
Yep.
And he was like the dude, like he had his streak in WrestlePalooza.
Yeah.
He had all that stuff. He did everything to do with the Undertaker and stuff, and it was crazy. It's just to think that we as kids, man, we thought about all this stuff, and then nowadays we think about it, it's like, dude, why weren't we promoters? Why didn't we make our own like wrestling business, man?
It's so funny. Like on Snapchat, we'll send each other from time to time. We'll cut a promo and be like, "Slayer, you piece of shit," Like we'll cut these like really dark. Or no, I don't want to say so much dark. We'll cut these just like hard ass promos on each other. And the other day we did it, and JT was like, "Dude, why the fuck did we never pursue wrestling more? Like, we would have been so good at this." Like,
we would have been, bro, honestly.
But yeah, it's just funny. And I guess I want to backtrack a little bit. When you refer to WrestlePalooza, that was like our equivalent, I guess, pay-per-view, if you want to call it, to WrestleMania, which WrestleMania is like the big WWE show once a year, comparable to like the Super Bowl. Instead of WWE having an event in like a 10 to 15,000 person arena, they usually run out like a football stadium where they get like upwards of 100,000 people to come watch this big show, and they have like all the big matches. So ours was WrestlePalooza. And side note, the one match we had. There was 2 WrestlePaloozas in specific I remember. I don't remember how many we had. We'd go through a couple in like a year, just because like how quick we moved. We'd be like, all right, it's WrestlePalooza again, even though it's been 2 months, Like, I remember the one we had. So our characters, Godfather and Slayer, they were in a tag team together. we were D-Generation X, which is a total rip on the WWE. We stole that name and everything. But we were always in a tag team together, and then we would split up and be fighting each other, and then there'd be something to be like, oh no, Slayer needs help, here comes Godfather, oh my god, DX is back together. That happened probably 12 times, and but it's just like when you're kids, that's what you do. But the one time I remember we had this match, and he hit me with his finisher like 5 times, and it was just like, that's what it took to bring me down.
And we're pretending that we're all bloody and stuff from the match and everything. We'd be like, they're both broken. They're broken in half. They're beaten. They're bloody.
Yeah. And it was, so yeah, that was the one I remember. And then I remember the last big event we did, which I'll get to when we get to the trampoline era, I guess, if you want to call it that. But let's keep moving down the list of characters. Then we had Zach and Cody.
Yeah.
Which was that a rip on that TV show on the Disney Channel?
Yeah, that was pretty much a whole rip on the whole Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
I don't remember who Cody was supposed to be, but I remember Zach was like Eddie Guerrero.
Zach was Eddie Guerrero, and Cody was like Chris Benoit.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, Cody was Chris Benoit, pretty much. And he was like a mixture of Randy Orton, too, I think. He was a mixture of both.
Gotcha. Then we had real I don't want to say original, but these are very kid-esque names. We had Skull Boy and Skull Dude.
Oh yeah,
which were Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Yes,
those you came up with. That was always like our favorite tag team growing up, though.
Oh yeah,
those dudes would just fly around the ring.
The Hardys, man. And I remember the one time that we dressed up as the Hardy Boys for Halloween the one year.
Oh hell yeah,
yeah, dude,
so much fun.
That shit was killer.
There was the Celtic Kid,
which that was like
Sheamus. There were Max and Jack, which were these Irish kids that visited JT's next door neighbor. I don't know. Yeah. I think they were just like Irish kids, like in our little head storyline. There was also Dylan and Jason, who were two other Irish kids, total dickheads. They were visiting a neighbor down the street. We could not stand them.
Oh yeah.
So they were bad guys in our eyes. Then there was the Great Sam, who was this kid we went to school with, who was probably had like 150 pounds on both of us. He was like a foot taller than us.
Oh yeah.
He was supposed to be like this wrestler into the Great Khali, who was this big Indian guy. Then there was American Idiot, which was Danny. Don't remember what his character was. I just think we played him off as like some mentally challenged
Eugene,
jobber.
Almost type John.
For those of you who don't know who Eugene is, Eugene was a character that WWE had in the mid-2000s. He was like this mentally challenged. I guess that's all he was mentally challenged. That's all I'm going to leave it at. If you want to look into Eugene more, you can look it up on YouTube. I guarantee you'll find something. Then there was this kid. Was it your cousin Paul?
Yeah.
Paul was like Kane. Again, another guy that had like a foot on us.
Big kid, bro.
100 pounds probably. You know, Kane was this wrestler who was like 6'10", 7 foot tall, 300 pounds. So we were like, all right, this guy's a giant. He'll be like Kane. And then we had two people. I couldn't remember what their names were. There was a guy that was like Shawn Michaels.
That was Justin.
And then there was a guy that was like Batista.
Which was CJ. My old friend CJ.
Was he from New Jersey?
No, that was the one from PA. CJ.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he went to our school. He was
Oh, okay, I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
CJ always liked Batista. He was a wrestling fan also.
Yeah, you know, everyone in our age group was a wrestling fan at some point or another. It was just one of those things where, like, I remember wrestling was in. I was in 3rd grade. That's when I got into wrestling. By the next school year, everyone was like, fuck wrestling, that's stupid. Everyone was calling me gay for watching it, and like I was like, what changed over the summer? So those, I don't know if I missed anyone, but those were our characters that we would kind of run with. Is there any that I missed that you can think of?
There was. I remember the one time we established like the Brood. It was a wrestler named Disturbed, in which we got.
Oh my god, I forgot about Disturbed. Holy shit.
We had Disturbed, and then Paul was one of the dudes, and I think I think who the fuck else was it? Was there,
do we have another rip? Raven? Was Raven a wrestler?
I think so.
Even though he's a real wrestler, like if you look him up, Raven was a real wrestler.
We had Raven, we had Dragon. Dragon turned himself into Raven, remember? I think it was something like that. There was a dude named Dragon.
I kind of remember that. That's escape. I forgot about Disturbed though.
Yeah, Disturbed, man.
Oh man.
He was like
was he Abyss?
Almost sort of kinda.
Yeah.
It was almost sort of kind of like that. It was almost like Gangrel too, like at the same time, and he was like the bad dude. Like, and it was like DX's like biggest like rivals and stuff like that. We couldn't beat them and stuff like that. And like out of nowhere, we had one more match with them. We kept losing over and over again to them, and then we're like, yo, we're gonna fucking beat you this time. And then like we were like, yeah, it's gonna be like the greatest match in like WrestlePalooza history. We're gonna beat the Brood and stuff. And it's like, all right, let's go, let's win it. Like we made these storylines, we promoted all this stuff, dude. And like Oh man, I just wish we could have made bucks. We would have been better than the one that's over at our farmers market. That's like over like 30 minutes away from here.
Shout out to Q-Mart, Triple WA. Sean and I talk about that on the season finale. Yeah, man, and like I said earlier, it was like we were wrestling in front of thousands of people, but we just did it for our own enjoyment. It was just like, this is how we spent our summer days. And quick spin-off before we go into like the trampoline saga. Then there was like a little spin-off in my backyard a couple years in called the EBW, which was a backyard wrestling federation I started, and we would actually videotape the matches. I had this old 1980s video camera, and we pretty much had the same characters, except I had a different name. Don't remember what it was. You were still Slayer. We'd go on and we would, again, make match cards. And this time we actually had, I had a couple of my friends doing it with us, too. So there was more than just two people. But yeah, we'd go in, we'd have these matches in my backyard. And it was like a little spin-off. Didn't last very long, but it was kind of fun while it lasted. But yeah, the EBW was... it was okay.
That's where we pretty much were like, your backyard's the hardcore backyard, pretty much. Like ours was like, yeah, we're out here, we're like doing what we're doing, and then like your yard was like no holds barred.
Yeah,
that's like
pretty much. It was like weapons in every match.
We're like, yeah, this on like Tuesday or Wednesday we're gonna go in my backyard, and then like on Monday and Friday, and like and then. I forgot what that. There were so many things that we did, man. It was either your backyard, my backyard. We would go to the dirt piles that were in the development behind us and stuff.
Yeah,
like we would go over to that development and we would like do like the rock, like the whole like dirt piles. Those would be like certain arenas that we wrestle at, man. Like, dude.
Yeah, yeah. That was a little spin-off from WWEK. Yet again, very original name. But we were kids, and then. There was the trampoline saga, but what I think I'm going to do, I think we're going to do a 2-part episode. So we're going to have a second part. We're just going to go into the whole trampoline thing, trampoline stories.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
I'm with it, bro.
There was some big memories on that trampoline. If you like what you heard, follow the podcast here on SoundCloud. Check back every 2 weeks. We have a new episode. So in 2 weeks, we will have episode 3 of the podcast, and it'll be part 2 of the I Want to Be a Backyard Wrestler episode. JT, we're looking forward to having you back on the next episode, and we'll get into even more backyard wrestling fun on the next one.